I have a portable Honda generator that seized up during operation a week ago. The pull-to-start mechanism does not move. This machine has a total of 3 to 4 hours of use. I would like to know where I can take it to see if it can be repaired. Can the motor be swapped out? I live in Brookfield near Ogden, Route 34, and Grange Rd, Route 45.
There is something you can try. Remove the recoil assembly. It should be held on by 3 10mm bolts. Remove the spark plug also. Get a wrench big enough to fit the bolt in the center of the cup where the flywheel goes and see if the engine will turn clockwise. If it will not turn, then your engine is most likely seized to the point where it is not repairable. The engine can be swapped out by a Honda dealer, but it may cost the same as the unit did new. Did you verify that the unit had oil in it? If this is a new machine, it may be covered under warranty. Here is a link to find the closest Honda repair shop to your area. http://www.hondapowerequipment.com/dealerlocator/ Best of luck to you, sir. I know how frustrating this can be.
Thanks for your response and concern. The machine is actually about 8 years old but has had very limited use. Outside of a need 3 years ago for about a half hour, it has only run 5 to 10 minutes at a time for maintenance purposes. I can't do the things you've suggested now because it is too late. I'll try tomorrow or Sunday. Can I keep this contact with you for that time frame to follow your instructions and see what happens, or are we finished? I've not used this service before. What if the flywheel will turn? It seems to me that it probably won't since the start assembly is locked. Are you suggesting that the spark plug may be keeping it from turning? Or is this just a precaution to ensure there is no ignition? I have it primarily for a power source for my sump pump in case of an outage. I want to upgrade to a Generac auto unit, but I'm trying to wait till I move out of the first floor apt. As long as I live in my 2 flat, I can only write off half the expense. I'm figuring a year or so.
You are more than welcome to keep this going as long as you want until you are satisfied with my answer. I'll keep working with you as long as it takes. If the flywheel will turn, then the engine is not seized and we have a recoil starter problem. Removing the spark plug eliminates the compression and should let the engine move easily if there are no other problems. Before you invest in a Generac unit, I would do some research. Those units are not all that great and do not have much in the way of technical or parts support. Let me know how you make out with our test, and make sure you check the oil level.
I see. Removing the spark plug eliminates the compression and allows the piston to move without resistance. So if there is movement, then the problem might seem to be the recoil starter. Are there any bearings that may have overheated, and are they replaceable? I had a severe storm here on Freelast. There is a 4-inch drain tile under the building and the input to the well was almost half of their capacity. So I figured that if the power went out, the well would fill in about a minute, despite the fact that I have a battery backup. So I had the generator running outside, and me at the ready to switch the power cords, at the well. The gen just suddenly stopped. I called a friend and borrowed his. The power never went out, but the water continued for 2 to 3 hours. The basement is finished, so it was quite a go-around. If Generac is not a brand you would recommend, do you have a preference? And why so? When we finish here, shortly, what do I do? If I click on Accept Answer, will I lose any further contact with you, or are we on hold, or do I need to go through the process again and pay again? Sorry, I'm a newbie.
There are really no bearings that would cause this problem. If your generator suddenly stopped, then I would bet that your engine has seized. If it just stopped working, the engine would wind down and not just stop. Again, please check the oil. If it's too low, then we know that's what caused the engine to seize. As far as generators go, I like to look at what contractors are using. I think we may be in different geographical locations. Check with a construction site and see what they are using, or go into a store that caters to contractors, not a home improvement store. They will be able to give you the best answer for what are good generators for your area, and they should be able to service them if there is a problem. That is the key, being able to buy replacement parts and/or have service performed. If you click accept, then you will have paid me for my answer, but we can continue. It is up to you to accept when you have received an acceptable answer.
Thanks for the great help. I'm sure you'd rather be doing else by now, but I appreciate a great deal. I find you to be very knowledgeable and personable as well. Thanks for your patience and effort to help me understand. If I need you again, I will certainly try and contact again. Be well, be safe this holiday. Thanks for your service to our country. I am a vet also, MPs. I'm outside of Chicago, so there is advantage of resources. Take care, Weston. P.S. I give you your service the highest of rating.
Anytime, sir. Thank you for your service also. Anything you need, just ask.
Hi John, I had some time today to look at the general. I took off the recoil starter and the plug. When I removed the plug, I noticed that it has small pieces of the porcelain insulation from the tip broken in the electrode space. I looked into the opening and saw more tiny pieces, so I fished them out with tape and blew out the chamber. I then tried turning the crankshaft. At first it only moved slightly. After 3 times of the same slight movement, it broke free. However, it will only turn until the piston is all the way up and then it hits the underside of the manifold, I'm guessing. I looked inside with a light and see a piece of steel, at 90 degrees to the piston head, about an inch in length. It appears to be made that way. I thought maybe it was debris. The top of this ridge seems to be blackened by combustion. My guess is that the spark plug was struck by this metal ridge. It doesn't come up directly under the spark plug opening, but rather, just to the right side. It hits there and doesn't allow the piston to advance beyond that point. It will go down if I turn the flywheel counterclockwise. The oil was full, and has a sensor to immediately cut off the motor if it falls below a certain level, and won't start unless it is filled. Can the piston be replaced, or some type of remedy applied?
That's better news than having the engine seized up completely. The head of the engine needs to come off so that you can clean up the combustion chamber and find out exactly what is inside it causing the piston to stop. From your description, it sounds like the exhaust valve came loose. Once you have the head off, you should be able to see exactly what the problem is. If there is no damage to the piston, then the valve may just need to be reinstalled and everything reassembled. If you are comfortable working on the engine, then go ahead and start by removing the valve cover and watching the operation of the valves as you turn the engine by hand. You may notice a broken spring or a valve not moving at all right off the bat. If you are not very comfortable working on this engine, then bring it into your local Honda dealer and they should be able to set it back up very quickly if you do not need any major parts. All the parts you may need for this generator are available.
Thanks, Jon. I thought I would see more by taking the cover off. I removed the 4 bolts holding it, but it didn't seem to want to come off easily. I know it's been there a while, and temp etc. has affected it, but is the gasket the only thing preventing it from coming off? I didn't want to try and pry it because I think it is aluminum. It has OHC stamped on it, I assume for overhead cam. Under appears what I would think is a manifold. It looks like the gas mix comes from left into chamber, then out to the right, to the exhaust port. It all appears to be aluminum, and seemingly a solid piece. I would need to remove that also. Is that the head? Under then is the piston and chamber, right?
That cover is only held on by the gasket, a little easy prying will get it off. Underneath it will be the 2 rocker arms that push the valves to open and close them. Your theory is right, intake valve is on one side, exhaust on the other. That entire piece will need to come off to get to the piston. Hopefully you find something disconnected in the valve assembly and don't have to go that far. There is a bolt or 2 that hold the head on underneath the valve cover.
I managed to remove the cover, and under are the 2 valves as you outlined, along with a gear to connect to the flywheel below made of rubber. I'm guessing this is the cam gear because when I turn the flywheel the valves go up and down alternately. The springs and all seem to be good on top. What I think may have happened is that the valve head, underneath, may have broken off and fell on its side as the piston was coming up. From the heat and power of the collision, the piece has fused itself to the piston head. The piston is free to go up and down by turning the flywheel, but will always stop as that piece hits the bottom of the chamber. It would seem that the whole engine needs to be disassembled to get the head off and expose the piston. I don't know how capable I am, but maybe I have little to lose. I have changed alternators, fuel pumps, when they were external, and done some work on cars. It was never my passion, but I am mechanically inclined. I didn't really see any bolts holding the head on and was surprised, but the carb and many other things, of course, are all connected. Might the bolts be underneath? The only bolts I see are relatively small, and seem to be holding the valve spring assembly in place. Would it be possible to remove the paste from the piston face, or does it more likely need to be replaced?
The rubber piece at your timing belt. It connects the cam gear to your valve train. If both valves are moving, then I suspect you are tight and the head of the valve has broken off inside the combustion chamber. I just took another look at your engine. The head does not remove from the engine. The only way to get into this engine is to split the crankcase, it's a diagonal split, and completely disassemble the engine. I can tell you that this is not an easy job by any means. Honda is very tight about releasing their tech manuals, so you probably won't be able to find one to help guide you through the tear down. If you decide to tear the entire engine apart, then yes, the piston and the valve may need to be replaced. You may also have to replace the crankcase half that houses the cylinder if the broken valve has caused any damage.
Thanks, Jon. I thought maybe I would find my way out of the woods here, but it looks pretty bleak now. I'll have to assess my capability. This may be beyond my scope. I don't want to tear this all apart and then not be able to reassemble it. But, even if I couldn't, that should still curtail some of the cost of a rebuild by a mechanic. I think I'll have something to drink, think about it, and watch some fireworks. Thanks for your time, have a safe holiday, talk to you later. Weston.
Please do not tear into it if you are going to have a mechanic work on it after. There is nothing more frustrating than taking over after someone else has been inside an engine. I think it's time I join you for that drink. Good luck with whatever you decide to do.
Hi Jon, I'm still trying to figure out what to do with my generator problem. I located Honda dealers near me and explained the issue. They said they would charge between $80 to $90 for diagnosis, but the cost would be rolled into the cost of the repair. I told him probably the exhaust valve, and possibly the piston need to be replaced. He's working up an estimate for that. I went to the Northern Tool and EQ catalog where I purchased this gen, and a new one is $565. So what I'm hoping my options are is 1, to have this one repaired by Honda, 2, find the service manual, and perhaps between that and your help with questions I might have, repair it myself. If I went with 2, I would offer you $25 to coach me. Is that something you would be interested in? I'm also thinking of installing an auto backup. I mentioned a Generac, but after researching, I'm hoping the Briggs & Stratton model I've found is a better choice. I think it would be just enough power for the sump, lights, sewer injection system, and 3 refrige units, as a max output. Can you take a look at it? The website is below. I would still want to repair or replace the Honda to have a backup, and to use for outdoor power to work. Thanks. Weston http://www.norwal.com/product_info.php manufacturers_ it equals 11 and products_ it equals 785 and OS CSID equals 1BF9D0A35A872B3F463DC6C76917884A.
The cost between labor and parts will come close to the cost of this generator. I normally tell customers that once you hit 75% of the cost of a new unit, then it is not cost effective. I believe you fall into this category. As far as getting a Honda service manual, I doubt this would help, assuming that you can get one. Honda is very guarded about these and does not sell to the public. If you do get one, you need to be a well-versed mechanic just to understand it. That being said, my labor only to rebuild this engine in my shop would be $250. Coaching you, which could take a full week or 2, is not worth $25 to me. It would just take too much time on both of our parts. I have looked at this generator before, and I have sold one to a customer of mine. It is a very nice unit, and very quiet. The model you choose runs on propane, which is one of the smartest things you can do with a generator that does not get run often. There is never any chance of the gasoline going bad, or turning to varnish and clogging the carburetor. You can always keep a spare bottle on hand too that won't go bad for years. You still need to exercise it once a month or so, but that is a simple procedure.
Hi Jon, here's an update on my gen situation. I found that having it repaired was not cost effective, as you suggested. I then decided to replace it with a new one, until my son-in-law got laid off from his job. So now I've decided to replace the Honda engine with the same engine. I bought a new one from brandnewengines.com, and it's been shipped. Now I find that the Honda dealers here either won't swap out the engines because it has a North Star gen instead of a Honda gen, or they want a minimum of $100 per hour with no guarantee on their work. So I called the North Star company, talked to a customer rep, and he talked me through the install. He said to remove the back elec assembly from gen, remove the nut and bearing on the securing stud, through shaft, tap the rotor off with a mallet, remove the stator, clip, bolt, etc., and the engine should pull off. Sound right?
Honestly, I do not work on generators. The engines are another ball game. From your description it does sound about right though.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.